My name is Kevin Smith. I'm the Director of Product Development at StockTrack Personal Finance Lab. If you do have any questions as I'm going, feel free to post them in the QA, and I have that up on another screen so I can see it. And let's get into it. So we have a bunch of exciting new features that we released for the Personal Finance Lab platform for this fall. Most of these are already finished and live. There's a couple of them that will be rolling out in the next few weeks. I will be specific about which one's which. For the budgeting game, we have the new public transit mode. That means it's a version of the budgeting game where students do not have a car. Budgeting, also the mini games. So this has to do with the weekend choice in the mini game. I'll talk about these in more detail. Some of these actually were released late in the spring, but we didn't have a formal release for them, so I'm going to go over all four of them in detail. For the stock game, we have a trading update for the international for bonds, but we now support bonds from outside the United States, and we have an update to our stock comparison activity tool that we have for students. Platform-wide, we are releasing support for several new languages, including for the budget game and the assignments, which we previously had not. In our assignment system, we updated the names of a lot of our lessons, and we have very big quality of life improvement for a lot of teachers of the ability to copy your assignments along with copying on the rest of your class settings you're setting up, making it easier for you to go with every semester. So let's jump into these in a little bit more detail. So first up is public transit mode. So in the budgeting game, when your students are playing, there's typically a bunch of bills relating to owning a car. The standard bills include a car payment, so paying towards a car loan, a monthly car insurance payment, and a gasoline cost that they need to pay, I think on the 15th of each month. We've talked with a lot of schools, and especially in urban areas, not everyone is expected to be owning a car. But there's also a concern about the general balancing the game, because when you have all these bills being foisted into somebody who is, for example, a part-time worker, it means that the wages that we have to pay them to make the game realistic are a little bit higher than we'd like to. And so we have what we call the public transit mode, where in this case, the student doesn't have a car. They're expected to get around by public transit, taking the bus or taking the train. That also means that all the random events that happen in the game that are based on public transit are actually replaced with, or that are based on car ownership, have been replaced with events that have to do with public transit as well. So what does this actually mean for your class? Let me pull up the class creation page here, and you can see here's my budget game start date and end date, how long I want the game to be playing, whether I want my student to be starting as a student with a part-time job or a full-time worker. Now, I can set independently if while they're a part-time student and while they're a full-time worker, do they own a car or are they having to get around town on public transit? And so if I select public transit here, one of the things that happens is that car payment, car insurance, these no longer are bills that will be issued for those students. In public transit, in part-time mode, instead of getting a monthly car fuel bill that they have to pay, they're just going to have a monthly public transit pass they're going to have to pay for. So it's the same mechanism. We're just on the 15th of the month. It's going to be prompting them, you have to pay this $50 right now. One of the other interesting changes to this, though, is because we remove these bills and make this one a little bit cheaper here, the total game balance in order to make the game realistic for a student means we have to pay them a lot less, which means that the part-time job salary goes down to $17 an hour, which a lot of teachers are very excited about because it makes the game so much more realistic of what a part-time job actually is going to be paying. Where if you own a car, because you have another $275 a month, another $50 a month, another $50 a month here, just to make it so the students don't go bankrupt, our baseline wage is $24 an hour. Now, you as the teacher always can change these settings to whatever you like, whatever is going to be realistic for your class. But at the bottom here, we show you what the balance is going to be for your students. So with our default settings, the students are able to save about $80 a month on average, which is about 10% of their expected income. Right, a little more than 10% actually. And that is, again, trying to make it so we used to have a lot of problems where teachers would say, for example, I want my students to be paying $15 an hour, and they're going to have $600 in room share rent, and then they just see that the students are just going to go bankrupt almost immediately. So that does help a little bit with game balancing, and it makes the game more realistic for schools that are in more urban areas. Now, I will say, let's say if I want everybody to own a car, because let's say I'm in a suburban or a rural area, but let's say the car was purchased by the parents, and so the student, you don't want them to have a car loan bill, and the parents are also covering the car insurance. You as the teacher can actually set these bills to zero, and so they're not going to be issued to the student, which again gives you the ability, all right, now I can actually get this person maybe $18 an hour. It's a part-time job, and let's call this, I'll put this back down to 400 actually. So I'm balancing to be a little more realistic for my area, and I see I'm still a little low. Let's bump up the starting wage a little bit more to compensate. And now we're getting to a realistic scenario. So you as the teacher do have the ability to disable bills entirely. But on top of that, turning off the using the public transit mode, the random events in the game, the ones that are involved with winning a car, like you need to get your oil changed, that kind of thing, get replaced with things in public transit. You dropped your wallet, you ran out of bus passes, it's a late bus, you just want to take a ride share home, that kind of thing. So a little bit more flexibility with how you can set up and manage your classes with that. Next up for the budget game, we have the mini games. Now these are very exciting. So at the end of every week in the budget game, the students have the choice of 4 different things they can do. Work extra hours, they want to get some more cash. Take care of household chores. So the random cards that would come up from this usually have to do with doing things that are going to save them money in the long run. Socialize. You're going to spend some money, spend some time with your friends, and improve your quality of life. Or studying. If you fail to study, you start failing exams while you're in school. When you're working as a full-time worker, this actually becomes professional development. So there's lots of consequences for not studying a lot. There's also benefits for doing so. If you study a lot while you're a part-time student, you actually start with a higher salary when you begin the full-time job. And when you have the full-time job, you can eventually earn a raise if you do lots of professional development. But alongside each of these options, we now have a mini game that students need to complete as they're playing the game. So we have 4 mini games available. The first one is the cafe game. If the student is in part-time mode, where the game scenario is where they're working in a cafe, they have the cafe game where they are waiting tables and they can earn some extra cash. And this will apply to their next paycheck. The comparison shopping game, if you choose household chores, you need to go grocery shopping and you need to pick up a few items that are on your grocery list. And the student needs to comparison shop. They have 3 options that they can choose from. Each of them is a different quality, quantity, and price. And they need to pick which one's the best deal. The Wealth Whiz quiz, if they study, they have this option, which is a pop quiz, which you're going to ask them a bunch of questions relating to financial literacy and letting them earn bonus points. And the weekend planning game, where they can choose what kinds of activities they want to do throughout the city with their friends over the weekend to earn quality of life points. So let me pull up these games really quick, just so I give you a quick tour of what they look like. I'll move forward here. Debit, and then I can start my weekend. So working extra hours. So we originally had our slide puzzle game where you can do the 2048, and we still retain that, but we also have the option to do the cafe game. And let me show you how it looks. I am acting as the waiter here and the busboy, and this person is asking for a drink. I give it to him. I give them theirs as well. This person wants some pasta, and then after some time, what's been served is replaced with dishes. I need to take these back to the kitchen in order to free up the table in order to serve the next customer. So if I fail to clear the tables, then I fail to earn any money because I'm only given money for actually serving on the table. So as it goes up, the students earn some cash, which goes to the next paycheck they have in the game. And they have 1 minute to serve as many tables as they can. The next game is the household chores I mentioned. This one is the comparison shopping game. So I'm going grocery shopping, and it's going to give me 3 things that I need to buy. First item on my grocery list is I need to buy some fresh baked bread. I've got 3 options here. Each of these has a perceived quality score. So how good is this? How much do I want to eat? How delicious is it? A quantity score. So how much am I going to get? In this case, it's pretty straightforward. These are all 1 unit, so I don't have to do a whole lot of math here. And then I just choose based on the price and all those other factors combined, which one do I want? So 7, 8, 8. So these are both 8s. I think I'm going to take the cheaper option. Now I need to figure out Is this 1 point of quality difference worth the 50 cents in price? I'm going to guess no. And then second item on my list, I need to buy some sparkling water. Sometimes items go on sale. That way, even if the student plays this game a lot and they see the same item sometimes, because some things go on sale, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best price. Now, I can see here, this one is a quality of 9, this one's a quality of 5. The price, this is actually cheaper, but I'm getting twice as much here. So I think even though this is on sale, this is probably actually going to be a better deal. And I need to buy some salmon. So looks really delicious. It's really cheap. I'm going to get the wild card. We'll see how well I did. Now at the end, it tells me if I get a smart shopper bonus, that means I picked the best deal of what it was showing me. So it looks like I was right for the bread, I was right for the water, but I was wrong for the salmon. One of the other options was going to be a better option. So I earned some quality of life points. So it's going to go to my quality of life score, and then the smart shopper bonuses just go straight into my total game score. The next mini game was the Wealth Quiz. So this one, like I said, it's a quiz game. They have 10 questions involving financial topics, and they need to answer as many as they can get correctly. The questions follow SAT scoring, which means that I get points for getting a question right. I lose points for getting a question wrong. So they can answer all 10 questions, and at the end, I think I get 5 points for every question I got right, and I lose 3 points for every question I get wrong. And those, again, we're just going to go straight into my game score. And it tells me right away if I got it right or not, or wrong. And then the character here is going to give me different attitude depending on whether I'm getting questions right or wrong. And the last mini game I mentioned was the weekend planning game with the socialize. So when I played the weekend social, you can see here there's a map of the town. And I started home. And I have a bunch of potential activities that I can do with my weekend. Some of them can only be done in the morning. Some of them can only be done in the afternoon. And they're also all over the map. And so it takes time to get from one place to another. I started at home. I can always hang out at home. It's free. I do get some quality of life points for doing it, just 5 points. So it's not a waste of my time. But that means as the student, I can choose how much money I want to spend over the weekend to build up my quality of life. So I have this go see a movie with Maggie. I'm going to do that. It's going to take me 2 hours. I have some travel time. So the farther away 2 places are in the city, the longer it takes me to get between them. Next, I'm just going to hang out at home until I get to the afternoon so I can do some of these afternoon activities. And then I'll go and get lunch with Tia, and I'll go see music at night. And then I don't want to spend any more money than that, so I'm just going to go back home and hang out there until the end of the weekend. So, yep, I have these 3 activities. These all cost me money, so they're coming straight out of my checking. I think I have the option. I'll check here. I have a choice of using my debit card or credit card, just like all the other expenses in the game. And then these go straight to my quality of life score. So it's exactly as the quality of life is supposed to be. You're basically spending money, and you're able to improve your quality of life to do it. In general, you're going to get twice as many quality of life points from the socialized game as you would as money you spent. Whereas most of the other choices a student makes in the game, it's only a 1-for-1. So it's more quality of life because these are better, more interesting activities. So that's it for the mini games. Next up is international bonds. So if you're using our stock game with the bonds trading, you'll now have the option when you're creating or editing your class to enable international bonds, just like you can enable many different stock exchanges for stocks. We have bonds now available from Great Britain, Germany, France, Netherlands, and Italy, both corporate and treasury bonds, just like we do for the United States. So it just adds another layer of international flavor to your class if you so choose to use it. This has been a long time demand for our university version of our platform at stocktrack.com. And we do have a lot of schools outside the United States that focus a lot on fixed income that this is going to have a huge impact for. Most of the high schools in the United States, you honestly might not notice, unfortunately. But this one, we hope you do. So we have our tool called the stock comparison tool that we have built into the assignment system in our research center. This is a tutorial that helps students understand how to do basic research on stocks. So let me pull up the tool here so you can see what it looks like. It's a guided tour where it shows students step by step of how can I find a stock and what's important in a stock for me to know before I buy it, before I choose to buy it. So first, first step on the tour showed me I need to go find a ticker symbol. So I'll put a ticker symbol in here. Next, it walks me through some of the parts of the research tool. And we use the examples for the research tool built into PersonalFinanceLab, but these same principles would apply if you're looking at Yahoo Finance or anywhere else, of getting some basic information about this stock. So what's its last price? I'm not going to actually go look at it right now. Earnings per share, and it defines what an earning per share is on this for students to help with. So during this tour here, it talks specifically about the 9 or something. What are dividends? How can I find dividends? And how often are the dividends paid? So I'm looking at quarterly dividends, put 10 cents. And then it actually goes all the way through looking at financial statements. So an example of looking at an income statement. What is the trend of their income? Is it going up or down? And then I put last 2 years of income, and then it shows me the trend. I go to the balance sheet and look at the common stock equity. It's grabbing one of the most important parts of each of these financial statements just so the students are introduced to those concepts. Just fill these in. And then again, for the cash flow statement. And then it looks at the price change. So it shows students how do you go into the stock historical prices and look at a chart of is this stock's price going up or down? And this is very simple. It's just looking at a year ago. Has it been trending up? So I get the price from a year ago, 34. Then volatility, is this going up or down a lot or a little? And we're not trying to get the students to do like technical analysis, just high, low, medium, or high, just based on your own guess. Same thing with news. How do you find news about a specific stock? Just kind of browsing the news here. Does it look like a lot of good news or a lot of bad news? What do people think about this stock? And then it has the students do the exact same thing with another stock in the same sector. So it shows them how to identify what the sector and industry is of this stock. And then it shows them how to use a stock screener to find another stock that's in that same sector. So here I'm doing Coca-Cola. So if I was doing a comparison, I'd do Pepsi. And then the exercise asks them to do all the same stuff for that comparison. And at the end, it would tell them the winner. I'm not going to fill it all out here. Previously, it's been great. Teachers love it. Students find it very useful. But we added an export. So after the student does this whole exercise, they'll be able to save this and put it into a report or have it for their own reference of why they decided to do this stock and what kind of decision did they make. Now, if you want to use this tool in your class, it's under investing research. The item here is basic research and comparing stocks. Or it's also an assignment that you can assign your students under the intermediate lessons. It is called, which one is it here? This is a video. This is the video. I don't see it here. So I need to find out why. Oh, here it is. It's the very last item here. How to research and compare stocks. So just that is the assignment. You can check it off for your class. And after the students finish everything, there's a short quiz asking them a trivia question about what they just did at the end. So that export we're really happy with. And we had that requested by teachers late last spring because they were using it so much in their class. They wanted their students to be able to make a report about it. Content update. So 2 big improvements for our content. First, multi-language support. Now, the stock game has been available in a few different languages for several years, but we are rolling out right now our translation support for the budgeting game and the assignments content as well. French, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, simplified Chinese, German. It's a big update for our international audience, but even classrooms with English as a second language, especially for Spanish, it's been requested quite a bit. And like I said, previously we just had the stock game, but this covers the entire budgeting game and the entire assignments library too, are all going to be available and translated. This is in progress. It is for a September release. So by the end of September, on the platform, there's already the language switcher with just 3 languages available now. You'll be able to, there'll be more languages available, and it will cover a much wider range of the platform. And updated assignment titles. So we were working with some schools last spring, and they were in particular saying that they liked our content, but we just made it sound boring the way we did our titles. And so this summer, every summer we do an update of our assignments library where we update all of the facts and figures and graphics and things to make sure that it's up to date. This year we updated the titles of the assignments as well. The underlying content is not radically changed, and so if you are familiar with our assignments, it's already there. If you go to copy your assignments from last year, it's going to copy them with the new titles. It's a one-to-one mapping, so you don't have to worry about not finding your stuff from before. But otherwise, we just tried to make it sound a little bit more interesting for students. If you want to see the exact mapping of what the old title was and what the new one is, you can visit our blog. Just from the homepage, click blog on the main menu, and we have a post saying exactly what's been changed to what. And I mentioned copying assignments. The biggest change that impacts teachers that are coming back and getting started again for this semester is the copy of class has been updated. So we had copy of class last year, which copied all of the rules for the stock game and budget game. The update will also copy all of your assignments too, so you don't have to recreate those from scratch. The only thing to keep in mind when you do this is that it doesn't know what dates you want for all of your assignments. And so when you copy your assignments, it's just going to take the start and end dates of your class by default. And so you still will probably have to go back to edit your assignments and change them to the exact dates that you want. If you use our prerequisites and rewards features, those are not copied as well. And just as a reminder, the prerequisites feature says you need to complete assignment A before assignment B is available to you. And so this is very popular with self-guided learning, where instead of using, we have a week 1 assignment, week 2 assignment, et cetera, you have assignment 1, and as soon as you finish assignment 1, you can start assignment 2, et cetera. And the rewards are when a student finishes the assignment, you can give them cash that gets credited to their checking account in the budgeting game or to their portfolio value in the stock game, which they can then invest. So yeah, both of those exist. They are not copied when you copy an assignment, but the tasks themselves will be, which is a huge time saver for most of the schools that we work with. That is all the major updates that you need to be aware of. Looking forward to working with your classes this semester. Now, if you do need a one-on-one onboarding session for your classes, maybe it's been a while, or maybe you need help just getting things copied and not wanting to make any mistakes or anything, you can email us, info@PersonalFinanceLab.com. Everyone should have their own account manager too, so you can ask them and they can give you help. Yeah, we're really looking forward to working with your classes for this semester. So are there any questions before I break?